you're based out of, right?
Yes.
Louisville, did I say that right? Almost.
You just relax your tongue a little bit and just kind of hold it in your mouth, just Louisville.
Louisville.
Whoa. But yeah, I was born and raised in Louisville, so that's why it just flows right out. But yeah, we have a smart home in Louisville, Kentucky, where we essentially, it's a real live lab where we can test smart home products in a real home rather than in a lab. We also have like a big bit of property there, so we're going to be doing some cool stuff with gardening and outdoor stuff this spring and summer. So it's really fun because yes, it's great to test things like automatic shades or smart light bulbs and smart ceiling fans and things like that, but you really want to get them into a home so you can figure out what is it really like to live with these products rather than just test them in a concrete lab.
So this may sound naive, but does someone live at the smart home?
No one lives there, unfortunately. It's a really nice home, and we all would love to live there, but nobody does. But we're in and out all the time. We have kind of more permanent things installed, like we have these Haiku fans from a company called Big Ass Fans. That's their real name. That's not me cussing.
Nope.
And they have smart fans. So we can install things like that permanently and kind of, work with them and work around them. We've tested smart shower systems where we can install it in a real bathroom and take some real smart showers, So it's just a lot more, it gives us a touch of what the real world is like when you're using a smart home rather than just being in our lab. And we really, it's a lot of fun, but it's also really informative for us as testers to be able to use this.
So let's talk about that for a second. You have the smart home, you have the smart apartment. In your experience, what has made the best kind of smart devices? Because everybody's smartening their things up, right?
Yeah.
We're connecting all kinds of things, and you can question whether or not you need something smartened up. Mm-hmm. But in your experience, what have you found is the best thing to smarten up in a home?
Well, for me personally, the first thing that we smartened up was our thermostat. And that was a really easy place to start because we're all trying to save money. We all want to conserve energy. And a smart thermostat is a great way to do that because you can set it up so you can set like your home temperature when somebody is in the house, but away temperatures when the device detects that you're out of range and will immediately, like for instance in the winter, lower the heat so it's not coming on all the time. And that was something that my husband and I installed on our own. It was really easy to put together, and we've seen savings in our energy bill from last year to this year, just based solely on, like, we didn't really change our behaviors, but the smart thermostat changed our behaviors for us. And it was a really helpful savings. And for me, on a personal level, that really helped me to see, oh, these are how these devices that we test can really be helpful in real life, in a real world situation. And it also, on a personal note, made me more interested in, like, ooh, I definitely want to bring more stuff into my home.
Yeah.
So from there, we followed up, and we have an Amazon Echo Dot in the kitchen, which is kind of, the kitchen is my domain, not, because of gender roles or anything like that. I just love to cook.
Yeah.
And so I've found that having an Echo has been super, super helpful. And I feel like smart speakers, and especially the little ones, not just the Amazon Echo Dot, but also the Google Home Mini, are an inexpensive gateway into bringing in smarts into your home because you can get them for about $50 and it's a smart speaker. And so when I wake up in the morning and I'm going downstairs to fix coffee, I ask Alexa, hey, can you play NPR? Because that's the first thing I like to hear in the morning. But when I'm baking, I set timers on the Alexa. So it's like, Alexa, set a timer for 15 minutes so I can check, my cookies or whatever I'm baking. And it has become really helpful to have a hands-free tool. And I think that's where a lot of things are going, especially in the kitchen, is more geared toward voice activation, things that, because when you're in the kitchen, let's say you're mixing a meatloaf and got meat hands,
sure do.
You can't just go around touching everything, E. coli everywhere. So it makes sense to give voice commands, and it's been really, really helpful. And so that's what we're seeing, at least what I'm seeing in the smart kitchen. It's lots more voice activation in not only like with smart speakers, but in the products that work with smart speakers as well.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Which one did you go with for your thermostat that you installed? Did you get a Nest or an Ecobee?
We got a Honeywell.
Okay.
And partly that was the price point. It was one of the least expensive ones, but my colleague Megan Woolerton, who reviews smart thermostats, that was also one that she highly recommended.
Yeah.
And so took her review, took the price, and I was like, I think this is the best one for us.
That leads me into a bigger question though. Does that create any sort of anxiety is too strong a word, but like it used to be you had a thermostat, right, and you kept it forever. And this can actually apply to kitchen devices as well, as you see refrigerators get connected and ovens. Does that make you nervous or anxious about getting like the Windows 95 version of your refrigerator, right? At some point, like when do they stop updating that, supporting that software? How long does that product cycle last? Has that engendered any sort of fear or anxiousness in you about installing those kind of bigger items?
Well, that's a really good question. And for me, it is a big issue that I think large appliance manufacturers need to tackle because they're putting smarts into durable goods that should last 10 years or longer.
Yeah.
And we all know that software is not going to last that long. And at some point, the hardware that powers that software isn't going to last that long as well. And right now, there isn't really a good solution to that. So for me, as just like a regular middle-class gal, I hesitate to go all out with like all these smart large appliances just because it really is hard to imagine like, okay, will this be able to keep up? But at the same time, I see progress there.
Yeah.
Some of the products I've seen that are most successful are products that, yes, there is a connectivity component, but it's not the main thing. So I'm testing right now a Samsung oven that has Wi-Fi built in. Now, during the testing, and when it comes to the actual like things that make in an oven, the cooking aspects, the baking aspects, the cooktop aspects, none of that requires smart home technology, right? You don't have to be connected to the internet to use those things. And for me, that would be an easier proposition than something that like, I have to be connected to the internet to be able to use this.
Right.
So for people who are still hesitant about going all in for the bigger products like Samsung's Family Hub refrigerator, which has like a huge touchscreen built right into it, my advice is to start small so that your investment, you're not making thousands upon thousands of dollars in investment in a product that still like companies haven't quite figured out how to keep it living a long time. And I find that like for me with the thermostat, I'm willing to spend like $100 on a thermostat, and hopefully it will last, Yeah,
you get your $100 worth
get
out
my
of it.
$100 worth, because if you think about it, we're paying like $1,000 for phones now. You know what I mean? And we get new phones like every 2 years, and we're putting down that much money. So the idea of maybe spending $100 or $50 here and there for smart home products as a good entry point is how I would like to. That's how I recommend folks start out.
Yeah.
I do. Like I said, I think the large appliance manufacturers still have some questions to answer about how they're going to keep their appliances up to date. And there hasn't really been those answers yet, but we've seen a lot more of these products that have Wi-Fi built in or have Bluetooth built in, or there's a tablet built right into the product. And I really think it's interesting that it all is happening in the kitchen as well. The kitchen has become the center of the home, for a lot of people, whether it's, that's where you cook, that's where you gather, that's where you do homework. And so we're seeing all these screens pop up everywhere. And for me, as a person who loves to cook, that's exciting, but it's a little scary as well because I want products that will last.
Right.
And I think at some point we're gonna see that emerge. It's a solution that has to be figured out soon.
Yeah, it seems like you're almost better off investing in double-sided tape and just putting like an iPad on the wall of your fridge, on the door of your refrigerator.
Yeah.
Look, it's connected.
And honestly, like one thing to maybe start out to see like, hey, do I think I need a screen in the home? Is looking into buying like a low-priced tablet, because those are coming down. Those prices are coming down all the time, and maybe having that just devoted, like this is the kitchen tablet.
Yeah.
This is where I look up my YouTube recipe videos and go to Pinterest to find those recipes I pinned, things like that, because I find that when I'm in the kitchen a lot, I'm bringing in my laptop, I'm bringing my phone. Like I am connected, even though I'm not connected via my refrigerator or via my oven.
So as those things are progressing too, and as you're testing them out, you're a cook, you're an avid cook, you enjoy cooking. What is there anything in the guided cooking systems that sort of intrigues you? So like Samsung or LG, the fridge will talk to the oven. Once you pick a recipe on the touch screen, it'll go like, hey, you have these ingredients. You push it, and then it'll talk to the oven to preheat the oven. Mm-hmm. As a cook, do any of these things intrigue you, or how much or how little intervention do you want from, we'll just call it the Alexa's hand of God that pushes?
Well, for me, I think a lot of the small kitchen appliances that have some kind of internet connectivity have really done a good job at trying to teach people how to be better cooks, how to be better at-home chefs. One that I liked in particular that I tested was the Heston Q countertop system.
Right over.
Yeah, they're around
here somewhere.
And I found that it did a really good job of teaching techniques that maybe I needed a little polish on. Because
really?
I haven't gone to culinary school. I'm just a person who likes to cook. But with the Heston Q in the app, it'll show you a video of like, this is how you properly baste a steak as you're searing it. And it's like, oh, I've been doing this all wrong, And so little things like that, I find that small appliances are another good entry point for you to include some kind of internet connectivity and smarts into your kitchen, because they're things that you can pull them out when you have a little time and when you really want to learn how to cook. But I think a challenge that I've seen on a lot of these guided kitchen systems, whether it's I know the Perfect Company has a line of like smart scales where it'll guide you through cocktail recipes and baking recipes and a lot of other things and smoothie recipes. But a challenge I've seen across the board is when you have your own recipe that like I have a meatball recipe that I really like and I just stick to all the time, but it's hard to incorporate my personal recipes into these different systems, you know, because each system has their own way of pulling in recipes and you have to kind of like learn how to use that system. And it can get kind of tricky where you're just like, look, I'll just look at my cookbook or on this like splattered notepad that I wrote this down on or whatever. So a lot of these guided systems are great if you are trying to be a better cook. If you're trying to, maybe like you're good with scrambled eggs and grilled cheese, but you want to step it up a notch. But I find that they can be a little frustrating for people who already have like their stash of recipes that they go to.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing personally I'm excited, I would like to see more of is how can I throw my recipe into this smart fill in the blank into this app so that I can maybe cook this recipe better. And right now it's been a little clunky to do that across the board.
So sort of like an OCR reader, like you take a picture of your recipe and then it ingests it and goes and then, oh, okay, I get what's going on here.
Exactly.
Here's how I can walk you through it.
Yeah, and so a lot of these products have apps that have like a whole catalog of recipes, and a lot of the recipes have been great. Like I've cooked some good stuff based on app information, but I still at the end of the day I have the same Quaker Oats oatmeal cookie recipe that I use for every year when I'm baking cookies at Christmas. I don't want, fill in the blanks app for, this is the oatmeal cookie recipe that I want to use.
Right.
So I am very eager for apps to let me make that oatmeal cookie recipe, but a little smarter.
Yeah, you don't put raisins in those, do you?
I do.
Ugh.
But here's...
This conversation is over.
Okay, quick tip.
What?
You soak the raisins in hot water for about 10 minutes, let them, they plump up, drain them really good, dry them off, boom. Okay. So they're not like dry and, they're moist.
Okay, so. Awesome. Well, let's switch gears from like really smart guided systems to sort of all-in-one, the Instant Pot.
Yeah.
Do you have an Instant Pot?
Yes, I do.
Do you use your Instant Pot?
Yes, I do.
Do you use it for everything?
Not everything, but for a lot of things. I drank the Instant Pot Kool-Aid.
Because there is Kool-Aid to be drank. If you go on Facebook, it is I say, like the second largest religion in the country.
Yeah, okay, so the Instant Pot community, I just joined it, and I was like, oh my God, what have I been missing?
Which one did you join?
Oh my God.
Uncensored or?
I think the one, there's one that has like 1 million people in it.
Okay.
And that's not an exaggeration. It really has 1 million people in it. But I think with the Instant Pot, the reason why it's interesting is because it makes things convenient and gives you options, if that makes sense. Because for me, I've used it for a variety of things. Like I made so this week I made pork carnitas in it, 90 minutes, put in a pork shoulder and boom, I had taco filling for a whole week. but I've also used it to boil eggs that I eat because I'm like an old lady inside a not so old lady's body. I like eating boiled eggs as a snack because protein. So I'll boil like a half dozen eggs in it at the same time. I've used it to cook a bunch of sweet potatoes all at once, and so I can like pull out, you know, a baked sweet potato during the week. So I think the reason why the Instant Pot has caught on is it's really easy to use. It can do so much stuff, and it can do it faster. And also, the fact that there's a whole community behind it really adds to it, because you say on your Facebook page, I have an Instant Pot, your comments are going to be filled with, oh my God, have you cooked this yet? Have you cooked this yet? Have you cooked this yet? So yes, I have an Instant Pot. I use it a lot, and I just went back onto the show floor, and there's a new Instant Pot, and I think it's a big deal. I think it's, I'm not gonna, like, I saw it and I was like,
tectonic shift.
It has a touch screen. It does automatic venting, and so for anybody who has an Instant Pot, you have to choose which type of venting. It does it automatically. You can in it. It has that much pressure built up in it.
Does it do my taxes?
Not yet, but I think maybe in 2019
it
will. But I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's really amazing, and I think the Instant Pot community is gonna be like, what? You know, I'm gonna have to throw out my other one and get this one.
So let's actually talk about that just for a second, just in terms of bringing, that's the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
So are you engaging with that community? Do you want to engage with that community? Are you finding things on Facebook that are interesting that you're taking back? Or does it become like anything else on Facebook where it just devolves and you're just like, oh, I can't handle all that noise?
You know, it's interesting with the Instant Pot community, and honestly with a lot of other cooking or recipe-centric websites. There are some websites I refuse to read the comments for because they will fall into the dregs of society, and you're just like, I don't need this in my life today. But I find with like the Instant Pot community, to use that as an example, it's actually helpful comments. Like somebody posted the other day, they said, okay, I have an Instant Pot and I find myself, I'm not using it a lot. I think it's because I'm vegetarian. Does anybody have any vegetarian recipes that they can recommend? And then like, here's a whole feed of, have you tried this? Here's this link, here's that link. Because I think at the end of the day, we realize that like, we all know we need to eat better. We all know that we need to save money by eating at home. But sometimes it's hard to figure out how to do those things.
Right.
And so when you go online and you find a community of people who have the same problems, it's like, oh, let's help one another out. And for me, I know this is a little Pollyanna-ish, but I love that aspect of the internet, of the people helping people, because it's like, look, we're not talking politics, we're not talking sex, we're not talking, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
We're just talking Instant Pot.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, people, and then I've seen people post pictures like, what did I do wrong with this recipe? And people like give thoughtful answers like, ooh, turn that chicken over and cook it this way and then try it, you know? And I really like that about the Instant Pot community, but just the recipe community online in general, you know, because there are so many food bloggers that are posting recipes and trying out products and things like that, and you see them become very engaged. And you know, honestly, like at CNET, that's what we want to do, but we focus more on products. You know, we want to help you pick the best product for your kitchen, for your home.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions for Ashley?
The crowd just came.
Yeah. Oh, they've been there.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I was just like,
they heard the dulcet tones of your voice and came like a siren song came here. Go ahead. Yeah. Question: is there any products from last year's show that are really successful now?
Oh my gosh. Well, one product, and I think that they're here somewhere. Anova has grown to be very successful. Anova is a precision cooker. They started as a Kickstarter project.
Yeah.
And with Kickstarter, everything, you kind of have to give everything like a little side eye, you know, because it's like, oh, is this going to make it? But Anova is an immersion circulator. So it creates a temperature-controlled water bath for you to cook food in a vacuum-sealed container, right? So in a vacuum-sealed bag. And it's a way, because that water bath, like, it's constantly circulating and keeping a constant temperature, it cooks food really evenly. So Anova started as a Kickstarter project, and every year, they've been here at the show, but they've also grown a lot. And in the past, I think year and a half, the company Electrolux bought Innova. So they went from Kickstarter to part of Electrolux, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So, and I think what we're seeing a lot of is, I mean, because there's a while when everybody's just trying to throw Wi-Fi into everything and call it a day. But now we really are seeing some like top products really emerge. And I think what makes those successful is having a proven track record, you know, actually doing what it says it's going to do. But Innova is another company that has really made use of an online community. They also have a very active user base that, you know, puts up recipes and puts up like tips and things like that. So that's what I'm seeing are companies that are really engaging the people who use their products, but also offering products that are fairly inexpensive. I would say at like maybe $150 or less, you see, you know, more people willing to invest that.
Sure.
Because there are products that cost more, and that's more of an investment. So that's an example of a company. But I'm also noticing companies putting their hands into different fields, like I think it's Chai is how you say it, the Chi hair straighteners. That like everybody swears by them. They're like, oh my God, they're the best straighteners. Well, they have irons now, and that kind of makes sense. That it's like, oh, hair straighteners, clothes straighteners. I see what you're doing. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot more of that, but I haven't really gotten a great look. I did kind of like one preliminary lap, so I'm excited to see what else is here this year. But just in that one lap, I'm really impressed by what's here.
In our last minute here.
Okay. Oh my God, we only have a minute left?
I know, it's been so much fun. What is one trend that you are kind of looking at we're already a third of the way through the year, but like, yeah. But what's one trend you think people should be on the lookout for this year, be it in the smart home or in the smart kitchen?
I remember, I think it was last year, I said, works with Alexa is the new put a bird on it. If you've ever seen Portlandia, and it's like, oh, put a bird on it, throw Alexa in it. Well, now we're seeing more products that have not just Alexa, but Google Assistant with a native voice assistant integration. So instead of having to have a smart speaker and then a product that works with it, we've seen light switches. We've even seen like smoke detectors and CO2 detectors that have the voice assistants built right into it. And so I think that's going to be the next trend, is not even necessarily needing a separate smart speaker to access smart speaker capabilities, but that will make you look a little crazy, because that means you're going to be talking to your wall.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're talking to speakers anyway. So, you know, but I think that's definitely going to be big, and voice activation is definitely where things are going, and especially in the kitchen. Because as I mentioned earlier, you got meat on your hands, you can't touch your phone, but you can tell Alexa or Google Assistant or Cortana or Bixby, hey, can you do this for me? So voice activated assistants are definitely where things are going.
You heard it, the big trend, talking to your walls with meat hands is what's going to be happening this year.
Yes.
Ashley, thank you so much for being here. Everybody give her a round of applause.
Thank you. This was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.